The 14th ANC Gauteng Conference is underway in Benoni in Ekurhuleni with nominations and voting planned for tomorrow. But what's happening there now in this battle between Panyaza Lesufi and Lebogang Maile? For the latest, we go live to SABC News political reporter Samkele Maseko, who is there. Samkele, good evening to you and welcome. They've been preaching the tune of unity, and I think right now Panyaza Lesufi is addressing the delegates to that conference. Just bring us up to speed.
In essence, what is happening in plenary right now, they are discussing the issue of credentials, they are discussing the issue of the quarantined 19 votes of Ekurhuleni and looking at how this will impact this particular provincial conference. In fact, they are seemingly taking a break now and delegates going out to have their supper as plenary breaks into a break. We do know that there are heavy discussions underway led by national leaders of the ANC to have a unity slate and have the status quo remain in the secretariat. Jacob Kawe remaining as provincial secretary, Nomanto Ramalucha Nkomo remaining as deputy provincial secretary, Parkstow remaining as the provincial treasurer of the province, and the change will then come in the chairpersonship position and the deputy chair. Those negotiations are saying Panyaza Lesufi must chair the province, Lebogang Maile must become the deputy chairperson of the province. That is the unity slate that is being proposed, as both cause of Panyaza Lesufi and Lebogang Maile are being called by national leaders of the ANC to come together to show unity within this specific provincial conference of the ANC in Gauteng. So in essence, they are trying to mitigate an all-out war between Panyaza Lesufi's faction and Lebogang Maile's faction.
Does it seem likely that that unity message and that unity slate will prevail?
It all depends on the discussions currently underway and how those particular individuals, Lebogang Maile, Panyaza Lesufi, if they are amenable to it. We do know that the Treasurer General of the ANC, Paul Mashakile, former chair of the province, has been advocating for these leaders of the ANC in the province to unite to avoid this bitter contestation, particularly coming out of that special NEC meeting of the ANC yesterday dealing with the matter of Ekurhuleni. I'm just going to ask Aaron Maluleke, who comes from the Tshwane region, on how he thinks of these particular discussions, because he is part of those supporting Lebogang Maile. Mr. Maluleke, there are discussions of a unity slate between Panyaza and Mr. Maile. How do you see that as an individual supporting the Lebogang Maile to be the provincial chair?
No, we support the ANC, and we believe that all leaders of the ANC must find it in themselves to unite the ANC. Therefore, any effort to unite the ANC must be appreciated. But for now, I'm not privy to discussions that are taking place. But we believe that the ANC will be a winner at the end of the day.
So in essence, those whom are leading those negotiations have not come back to the various lobby groups leading these two particular perspectives?
Not at all. We haven't heard anything from leaders of the ANC having a discussion around those unity talks. But we would appreciate the united ANC, united Gauteng, so that we can be able to respond to the challenges of millions of Gauteng people.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aaron Maluleke. There is a delegate from the Tshwane region, an REC member, former deputy chair of the region of Tshwane. So in essence, those discussions are going on. I'm just going to ask my colleague to pan this side and to show you those visuals of the delegates coming out of the conference. In essence, with the conference now breaking and them going to have their supper as those discussions of ANC leaders continue. At this point in time, we can say that the contestation between Lebogang Maile and Panyaza Lesufi is still on, pending the results of those discussions. Those discussions did start yesterday afternoon, where ANC leaders did call these two leaders to speak to them, to try them out and see if they can unite. But they are in essence saying that it's not only about them, but it's also about the people whom have supported them. For instance, if we take Nomanto Ramalucha Nkomo, she's worked for a very long time on her campaign to be the deputy chairperson of the ANC in Gauteng. And ANC leaders were saying, what do you then give her in place of her not getting the deputy chairpersonship? They are saying, in essence, she must remain within that current position that she has as the deputy provincial secretary. Jacob Kawe must remain as the provincial secretary. But no deal has been sealed as yet. I'm just looking as to see which some of the leaders of the ANC that we can try and grab as they come out of plenary. Iman.
Yeah, I love watching you work and watching those beady eyes scanning, for an opportunity to interview someone that can tell us a little bit about what's happening on the inside track. I want to come, as you're talking there about positions and the different permutations and what that could mean for what happens in terms of the leadership of Gauteng within the ANC, very little we're hearing, as we often do at this stage in the game, about the bigger issues around the ANC in terms of its longevity and its ability to turn its ship around in the next elections. We were speaking to Omri Makhwale a little bit earlier on, who is, not too optimistic about the fortunes of the ANC, given its focus on, positions and the jockeying for positions of power. What's your sense of where that fits into what you're seeing and hearing where you are?
In essence, Iman, the ANC is too inward looking, particularly when you look at their diagnostic report of their former Secretary General Gwede Mantashe at the Watershed 2017 conference. You look at subsequent provincial conferences that have sat. We did earlier on speak to Gwede Mantashe, who did say that the issue of finding a unity slate within Gauteng, having a united Gauteng, is paramount to the revival and to the renewal of the ANC, to avoid an all-out shootout like we did see in the Eastern Cape Provincial Conference. So in essence, they are worried about the unity of the ANC, particularly knowing that the ANC is literally on its knees in the economic hub of the country. They've lost all 7 of the province's municipalities. They govern no metro municipality. In fact, out of the 8 metro municipalities in the country, the ANC currently governs 4. The other 4 are in opposition parties. Other municipality metros that they are governing are through coalition governments in Nelson Mandela Bay. We also go to the eThekwini municipality. The one municipality where they were able to win convincingly was Buffalo City municipality out in the Eastern Cape. You go to other municipalities where they literally, by a knife's edge, which was essentially in the Mangaung municipality, which is also literally been crippled and on its knees. So the issue of renewal of the ANC is top of mind from these ANC leaders who've gathered here at this specific provincial conference. But the issue of unity can only be tested if they are able to find one another on the issues of leadership. But as we've come to know over the past few years, ANC leaders fight tooth and nail for them to become leaders of the ANC and put their own organization last. One would be interesting to see if they could be able to broker a last-minute deal at this specific Gauteng Provincial Conference, where a lot lies on it, particularly when you go towards the national conference of the ANC, with Paul Mashatile, some of them hoping that he will emerge as the deputy president of the African National Congress, as the so-called younger generation within the ANC hopes to take the organization through the Secretary General's office in order to try and rebuild it and reimagine it in the manner that they would want in a few years' time, to remove the elders of the ANC. Because when you look at the president of the African National Congress, Cyril Ramaphosa, he's arguably approaching 70 or just above 70. Paul Mashatile is in his late 60s. So they, in essence, want a younger person to occupy the SGO as Secretary General and also as Deputy Secretary General of the ANC. I'm just going to ask my colleague just to remove his shot as we approach Mondli Gungubele and Park Stow, whom have just left plenary as well. They are walking to have their dinner. You'll have to excuse our shot, Iman. It's going to be a bit shaky as we approach them to try get into an interview on them on these discussions currently underway and of the unity of the governing party. We are just going to quickly speed ahead and move towards them. They are walking, going towards the dinner hall to have those specific breakthrough. But we're going to start with Mondli Gungubele, who is here as an NEC member. Mr. Gungubele, sorry to disturb you. The Gauteng Provincial Conference, how do you see it planning out, particularly on the contestation that is currently there? Mr. Parkstow, please don't run away. Please come back this side.
No, we are expecting a very peaceful conference. Gauteng Conference by convention, especially at the provincial level, a peaceful conference.
We are told that there are negotiations currently ongoing between the two perspectives to have a unity slate between Lebogang Maile and Panyaza Lesufi to retain the status quo and other positions. Is there any truth to that?
Listen, I'm here as a guest from National, so I'm not involved. in all the dynamics that are taking place, but they know we want a peaceful conference. If it is through a single slate, or even if it's many slates, as long as they are peacefully contesting and the conference concludes peacefully, then we're fine.
Your name has been branded about as someone who's dividing this province, and in particular the Ekurhuleni region. Is there any credence to that, saying that you are using state security?
You know, when people display their fantasies about my name, there isn't much I can say about it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mondli-Kungubele. Let me speed towards Parkstown. He's running away. As usual, he usually doesn't want to take interviews. Mr. Tau, we are hearing that there are discussions underway for you to come back as treasurer and for there to be a unity slate. Is there any credence to that?
Well, at this point, I don't know about those discussions. I do know that the regions have been engaged amongst themselves. As to what the results of those discussions, I don't know.
So in essence, you are saying that discussions are underway for a unity slate?
Well, as far as I know, that the regional chairpersons, or at least some of them, have been engaged in discussions, but I don't have feedback at this stage.
What are those discussions mainly centralized around?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Unfortunately, if I knew that what the discussions were about, I could have commented. I've been busy at conference. We had a PEC earlier. I presented the report to the PEC. We then started with conference. So I haven't been part of any of those discussions.
Mr. Kungubele he seems to know a lot. That is Parkstown Mondli-Kungubele. So in essence, those discussions are definitely ongoing between ANC leaders in the province with national leaders to have a unity slate within this conference. I am trying to look out for Lebogang Maile and Panyaza Lusufi to throw those questions at them, because it's very important to also speak and to hear their view on this particular matter. I do know that the Treasurer General of the ANC, Paul Mashatile, has individually engaged Parkstown and also engaged Lebogang Maile, as he took a stance not to heavily involve himself in the processes of the Gauteng Provincial Conference, on the virtue that he is a former provincial chair of this province, and that knowing that he does not want to rock the boat with any particular perspective that may, if there is an all-out shootout, emerge from this specific provincial conference.
Samkele, we're going to leave it there, but I must applaud your valiant attempts to prize some answers and some new information out of the key players in the ANC, and of course in the developments around the Gauteng Provincial Conference. We'll check back with you if anything new develops. So thank you very much, Samkele Maseko.